So shall we start?
Yes, sir. I will start with the introduction. Within a minute, it will be live.
Okay.
Yes, sir. We are live on YouTube. Let's start. Yes. A very good morning to all the members watching this episode 1. The team juscorpus is happy to announce that we are going to start our biggest series of talk show named as Justalks. Today in this opening ceremony and in Justalk episode 1, we have Mr. Satish Singh, Associate Advocate at Krishna and Associates. The topic for this show is Role of Fundamental Duties as an Outcome to Pandemic COVID-19. A short introduction about Mr. Satish Singh, sir. Sir has done his master's in law from Central University of Punjab, Bhatinda. Sir has various experiences in the different fields of law. Sir was an ex-lecturer in one of the prestigious university and also an ex-executive member of the Student Council of Central University of Punjab. Sir has increased area of interest in the field of arbitration, commercial and non-commercial dispute, and also in the matrimonial dispute. Sir is also one of the best pro bono advisor among themselves. Sir, let's start with this show. Over to you, sir.
A very good morning to everyone. Before starting, I would like to express my great regards and thanks to the juscorpus team members and for providing such a laudable platform where we could discuss about academic topics. So today we all are collected here together to discuss about the role of fundamental duties as a measures to prevent the spread of COVID-19. So before going through the fundamental duties measures that how it can help in preventing COVID-19, we should understand that what the fundamental duty is. We should understand the basic of fundamental duties, that how could fundamental duties play a vital role in day-to-day life. So as we are familiar that till yet no vaccine have been made, that no vaccine have been made. So what we have to do in case of non-availability of vaccine? In case of non-availability of vaccine, the only thing we can do is to controlling ourselves and following the norms and directions given by the government and medical health staff to prevent this pandemic 19. These directions and norms which has been given by the government institutions or the hospitals or the other instrumentalities of the states are nothing but are in the form of a duty only. Though some people think it are not obligatory in nature, but being a member of a society and being connected in a social chain, we are bound to oblige all these duties. I would like to quote the words of John Milton, who said that those who also serves who only stands and wait. Serving to a nation or a state that does not mean that persons should do something. Sometimes doing nothing and waiting for one's turn is also serving to a nation, to a society. That is what the demand of today's situation is. This pandemic COVID-19 has led us in a situation where a person's patience and waiting for its turn has become a paramount requirement of today's day. As we all know that fundamental duties has been incorporated by the 42nd Amendment 1976 in our constitution, and originally they were in tens in number. but after the 86th Constitutional Amendment 2002, 11 duty has been added to it. So, if you're focusing on the fundamental duty, let us focus on the duty inside in Article 51A, subclause A, which talks about duty to abide by the Constitution and to respect its ideals and institutions. Focusing on this aspect of fundamental duty, we could see that this article imposes an obligation on each and every individual of this country to follow and oblige the instructions and the directions given by the government institutions or instrumentalities. Okay. Then again we have fundamental duty one, to develop scientific temperament, which is the very need of the today's situation. If a person do not have the capacity to develop the scientific temperament in today's situation, then the situation of this pandemic will get worst. It will lead to a mass stress in the society. So we must understand that how scientific temperament has to be established one person. Suppose nowadays persons are using mask, that is good, but disposal of the mask is can be seen. You can very easily find that the people are disposing masks without any responsibility. They are throwing on the roadside. There is no proper sanitization of the mask. Even the people do not think about the safai kamcharis workers who are the waste collectors. They just combine the wastage of this mask and everything in a common garbage pocket. That has to be avoided. And these things impose a scientific this thing is obligatory in nature, and this is obligatory in nature and is very much inside in the scientific temperament, which is a fundamental duty. If we focus about the Eastern jurisprudence that is of our country, which is basically related to India, then we will found that we have main focus on the duty. Duty is the more prevalence of the Eastern jurisprudence as compared to the Western jurisprudence. The duty is nothing but the dharma. What had been enshrined in dharma is only to follow our virtuous path and to perform duty. So, in this pandemic situation, we have one more fundamental duty towards our social workers. Besides looking towards ourselves and to our family, we have to also focus on the sanitization workers, safai karmcharis, waste collectors. They are also a important person who are playing a vital part in cleaning the garbage and making the area clean, which is utmost requirement for the clearance of for preventing the spread of COVID-19. As Rousseau has well said that men were born free, but everyone are connected in a chain. So this chain is nothing but a duty. These chains are in the form of duty, which joins the individual with each other and creates a barrier so that a person cannot violate his duty and responsibility. And being a member of a society, one has to follow this chain and one has to perform his duty. This duty is very much the cornerstone of the nationhood, as it promotes the spirit of patriotism. It helps in uniting the people, which is the very much features and the object as enshrined in the preamble of our constitution. The term fraternity used in the constitution would not be achieved until the objective enshrined in the fundamental duties are not performed. No doubt the fundamental duties are not enforceable by law, but it has the moral obligation and it has the moral enforcement. Even the John Austin has also recognized that there are some rights, that there are some duties, or there are some laws which are within the province of jurisprudence, and they are nothing but the duties. Duties which are declaratory in nature are within the province of jurisprudence, as per John Austin too. So duty had neither been neglected by the Western jurisprudence or by the Eastern jurisprudence. Now, in today's situation, this pandemic COVID-19 situation, it is now, even in the case of non-availability of the vaccine of COVID-19, it is the fundamental duty only, as enshrined in the part of our constitution, and besides that, our moral obligations which are not inside can help us in preventing the spread of COVID-19. Duty in the aspect of to maintaining social distancing. Social distancing is our duty and others' duty also. Duty to not to collect or form association uselessly, that is also a duty. Duty to proper disposal of the waste, that is also a duty. Duty to not to go unnecessary outside, this is also a duty. So these are duty are not only uh, enforceable according to law, but they are moral obligations. They are morally, due to societal change, we are bound to follow it, and we are not bound only towards our society, not bound only towards our family members or towards our near relatives, but towards the society at large. So, focusing on the aspect of COVID-19, we found that judiciary has also shows his interest and applauded the role of fundamental duty. Recently, the Bombay High Court has, in a suo motu PIL, had discussed about the role of pandemic 19, had discussed the role about the fundamental duties in preventing the spread of COVID-19. So, our Chief Justice, Honorable Chief Justice Bobde, has also stated about role about fundamental duties in preventing the spread of COVID-19. So now the time has come that how do we have to channelize this duty? How to communicate the importance of duty to everyone? We all are familiar with our rights. We are all familiar with our rights. We all talk about fundamental rights and legal rights, but we do always forget about duty. Duty is the utmost important thing which has to be given a preference over right. The term right has the aggression in itself. Whenever you talk about the right, it's a very natural phenomena that you will get aggressions from inside you. And the nature and the position you talk about your duty, you will get calm. So we have to understand the importance of duty. That why duty is more important than right. Even Universal Declaration of Human Rights, 1948, has also incorporated the importance of duty in itself. And in the realm of Article 29 of UTHR only, the Part 4A of Indian Constitution was incorporated by the 42nd Amendment. Not only in India, in other countries also, like in China, USSR, the importance of fundamental duties has been provided in their constitution in a separate chapter. We have itself borrowed the fundamental duties from the USSR. So, as we all are know that various instructions have been given by the government instrumentalities related to COVID-19, and a great honor was paid on Janta curfew, as we all know aware about 22nd, I think so 22nd March Janta curfew. We all know that a great respect was paid to the words of Honorable Prime Minister, and everyone has followed the Janta curfew with great enthusiasm. But the same was again breached when the lockdown was started from 24th March. People forgot to follow the same rule as performed in Janta curfew. There was hundreds of breach of instructions given by the government instrumentalities. Government had given a very moral of the in a declaratory form of instructions to the landlords to not to take the rents. But despite of that, there have been many incidents. There have been many posts on the social sites I have heard and listened from many people that despite of that, the landlords have been demanding the rents from their tenants, and due to which they were facing problems. Then again, the situation came from migrant workers. So there was the breach of duty. No one was obligated. No one was concerned to follow the duty. Then what measures government left? It has to adopt some measures penalizing the people. It has to adopt the measures of penalizing the people. It had imposed the fine. Now you can see that fine is being imposed if people are not wearing masks. So this is what, due to unfollow of non-following of duties people, such type of measures are being adopted by the government. If we follow this, we follow our duties or all instructions as given by the government instrumentalities, in spite of thinking what the government should do to procure the COVID-19, we can very easily prevent the transmission of this COVID-19. Okay, so as we all know that fundamental duties are not enforceable by law, but despite of that, we have to focus upon the Article 249 and entry 97 of the Constitution. As within that perspective, the fundamental duties can be made enforceable by making the legislation. And there are many legislation which are in prevalence, which are in force, which indirectly enforce the fundamental duties. Even in penal code, IPC, there are many provisions in which which deals with the fundamental duties. If there is a breach of fundamental duties, the penalty is there. We have Environmental Protection Act, we have National Emblems and Names Act, we have, in today's situation, we can see the Disaster Management Act. So there are many legislation has been made to enforce the fundamental duties, and this is why done because people are negligent towards their duty. So this negligency so this negligency will amount to so this negligency will amount to compulsion by the government. But compulsion cannot restrain the heartless people. It cannot change the hearts of the people. Though it can play an important role in preventing the heartless from performing the unsocial act, but it cannot change the heart of the people. It is the self-realization and the realization towards the duty that can change the heart of the people. And when the hearts of the people are transformed, the society is well-vested society and will progressive society. So, in a nutshell, I would like to just conclude that duty, fundamental as well as our self-imposed duty, can play a vital role in preventing the spread of COVID-19. And only nothing we have to do. Nothing we have to do. We have to just only follow the instructions as given by the government instrumentalities, the health advisors, the WHO, and we have to maintain the patience. We have to follow the words of John Milton that serving the nation is not only by doing act, but also by standing patiently and to wait for his turn. If we follow this tagline and this rule, definitely we can prevent the transmission of COVID-19. That's all. Thank you. Any query, please ask.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. I would like to call Mr. Snehil Srivastava to come up and ask the question from the chat box.
Okay. I'm audible?
Yes.
A very good morning, sir. I'm Satish Singh, and I would like to put up some questions. The very first question is, sir, due to this lockdown reality of digital India, is shown and our country broadly classified in major sector of people having internet and people not having internet. Article 51A, subclause A, makes the duty of guardian to provide education to their children between age 6 to 14 years. But due to the lack of technical support, most of the parents are counseling. Sir, what can you suggest to overcome this problem as the education is the prime thing which helps a nation to develop?
Okay, Anis, got your question. I think it's Article 51, subclause K, which imposes a duty upon the parents of India to provide education to their children for aging with age group of 6 to 14 years. See, this situation is very much familiar. It was in news also, I think 1 or 2 weeks earlier. Punjab government has already taken the initiative by distributing these cellular phones to the BPL below poverty line pupils so that so that the education of their students could not be affected. So no doubt there is a problem, and the study are being suffered by this of the students who do not have the facility of internet. So this situation has to be overlooked by the government by providing a small hub center area where student could go and operate like cyber cafe type area where student could go and attend the class to Zoom. These measures have to be adopted. We can take the examples of the measures adopted by the Punjab government. It has taken a very good initiative. The same initiative has to be followed in other states also. They could also distribute the phones, like the Ujjwala connection has been distributed to each and every household. Now the gas cylinder is available. The phone can also be distributed. That will not cost much. A government can take this initiative, but no doubt it will create a burden. This is also true. It will create an unnecessary burden on the government and the public exchequer because we are already in a very difficult situation. But yes, a balance could be maintained, like as I've talked about the fundamental duty. So this duty can be performed by the richer people to after looking towards the poor people. If we look after our neighbor, this problem can be solved. If you have any neighbor who don't have the access to internet or not have access to phone, you can provide your phone, you can provide your internet cell. So this is what the duty is. This is what our talking about the Rousseau. That Rousseau has talked about that we are no doubt born free, but we are everywhere in a chain. So this is a chain. We have to understand about this chain and duty. This problem could be very easily solved despite of the help of the government if we understand our duty and our holy obligation towards other person, towards our neighbor. This problem could be solved. Any other question?
Okay, sir. Moving to the next question. Sir, how would COVID-19 pandemic would affect when the Indians are called upon to serve the motherland?
Please pardon question.
Sir, I would like to pardon. How would COVID-19 pandemic would affect when the Indians are called upon to serve the motherland?
Indians are when called to serve the motherland. Definitely, it's a fundamental duty as enshrined in our constitution. I think it's in Article 51I or G. I'm not confirmed, but yes, duty to serve the nation is. Yes, it's Article 51D, 51A, subclause D. It's a fundamental duty that whenever the nation calls to a individual, he has to come and serve the mother nation. Serving of mother nation will definitely prevent the COVID-19 as the government instrumentalities who have issued the guidelines of following the social distancing, wearing mask, sanitization, etc., etc. These are the call of the nation. Nation has called us by giving these instructions to serve the motherland. They are the instructions only of the government. These instructions of the government are only call which has asked to serve the nation. So definitely we will serve the nation if we exactly follow these instructions. And if we violate this instruction, the serving of mother nation will be affected. I have already stated of the quotes of John Milton that to serve is not only by doing any act. Serving is also by standing silently and to wait for its turn. That is also serving. In today's situation of this pandemic COVID-19, the serving to nation as a duty is signed in for Article 15A subclause D. It's the guidelines issued by the government to prevent the pandemic 19 of social distancing, wearing masks, etc., etc. We are serving the nation by obliging it. Any other question?
Yes, sir. Moving to the next one. Sir, what is your take on how nature has healed in past 4 months in the absence of any human impact, as mentioned in our constitution, that it is our duty to preserve the natural environment?
Yeah, definitely it's a duty to prevent our national environment. It is also incorporated in fundamental duty. Preventing the environment is our fundamental duty, is already inside. And to enforce this fundamental duty, the Environment Act has been brought. Because government knows the nature of the people, that yes, there are some masters and bold-hearted people who will not follow the duty. So they have to make the legislation, they have to penalize the duty, and they have to enforce the duty in other indirect way. So duty is already there to protect the environment, and environment could be affected if exploitation is continued and peoples are being selfish in nature despite of thinking their responsibility and duty towards the environment. Any other question?
So moving to the last question. COVID-19 pandemic is being regarded as something which might exist for decades, as we all know.
Why not?
Social distancing. In 1 minute.
Uh,
COVID-19 pandemic is being regarded as something which might exist for decades, as we all know. Social distancing, application of sanitizers, uses of masks, etc., is thus essential for now. So, do you think these aspects like social distancing, sanitization, masks must be included in our fundamental duty?
No, everything cannot be included in a fundamental duty. The duty inside in constitution is sufficient in nature. They are duty according to your need and time. It is very much well settled that law changes according to your need and time. Law is not static, it's dynamic in nature, it changes from situation to situation. So there is no need to assign these things, social distancing and everything, in a fundamental duty. These are the time requirement. Government is giving instruction, and this is already covered under the fundamental duty. If we say Article 51A subclause A, it says that to abide by the constitution and its instrumentalities. So it is already covered that social distancing, face masks are already covered in the social fundamental duty, because following the instruction of government instrumentalities is a fundamental duty. It is a fundamental duty to follow the instructions of the instrumentalities, and instrumentalities have already issued the guidelines of social distancing, wearing face masks, sanitization, etc., etc. So it is already incorporated. Now there is no requirement for incorporating all these things in a separate parts. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Here we come to an end of the episode 1. I, on the behalf of whole Jus Corpus team, I am very thankful to you, sir, for accepting our invitation and joined us in this inaugural and episode 1 of the Jus Talk. Thank you so much, sir. For more updates, stay tuned to our channel. Do like, subscribe, and share Jus Corpus. Thank you so much. We will meet soon in the next episode. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.